I was so hoping you would sing that song. Because at the house concert, he sang that song when I was emceeing, and I was telling people the joke that I always tell my husband when he's aggravated with me. I'm like, you're aggravated with me? I can't get away from me. At least you can get away from me. So I'm so glad you sang that song. So what I want to do today is, we just got back from our Euro vacation, so I want to treat you to about 300 slides and a music montage, and we popped some popcorn, and we're passing out drinks. No, just a few. I just want to give you a slideshow real quick about the journey a little bit to kind of intro. This was our bags that we packed. We went carry-on. Only had little camera bag and that, and we shoved everything in there, and we actually would have packed even lighter now, wouldn't we? We would have actually even taken less. So that was just heartening to be able to just go in our little car with that. Can I just do a clicker sound, like, and then you just go? That's great. And so this is just getting to our gate, because we flew to Iceland and then to Munich. And if you can say that, you get $10. Reykjavik. And the Icelandic air flight attendants, the way they talk, they're like, oh yeah, we will be landing in Keflavik Airport. Dun, dun, dun. And I was like, oh, listen to them. Awesome. So, next. This is Plitvice Lakes. It's considered, we hiked this in torrential rain, and there they don't have a lot of safety rails and stuff. So, woo, great time for me, but it was good. It was really powerful. It was a powerful place to be. And this is Sylvia, and she was our hostess at the place we stayed there. And when Sylvia, we made a heart bond. This is in Croatia, and we actually she was crying when we left. We hugged each other. We felt like we'd known each other for a long time. So she will be in my life forever. And then this is our family enjoying being together. We would eat outside in the evening. And there's Jacob in Trogir, feeling a little sassy with the rose that my husband bought me at dinner. Next. And this doesn't do justice. Jacob has better pictures. This is the Blue Cave. And as we were on the island of Vis in Croatia, and what you do is you get on a boat, and then they squeeze you in a little boat, and then you duck down, and you go into this cave, and it opens up to this. And it's only that color blue for about 2 hours each day. So Mirsada, our house host that we were staying in her house, she says, you should go to the Blue Cave. She says, but it's only the Blue Cave for about 2 hours a day. If you go after that, it's just a cave. So we're like, okay, we'll get the boat to make sure that's not just a cave. And this is Nada and her sister Vlasta from Slovenia. And she gave me her business card, and she's invited us back, and she wants to find out how Jacob and Spencer do in school. We made lifelong friends. They taught us about Croatia used to be a part of Yugoslavia. And they taught us the history, and we really bonded with them. And then this is the island of Vis, sailing into the island of Vis. And we just stayed right up from the ferry. And then this is the water of the Adriatic, which was still a little cold, we found out. Woo, yeah, just a little cold. A little cold. And this is Siena. And when we got to Siena, Italy, I was blown away. I felt like I'd been there in a past life. It was awesome. And then that's like, okay, so some of you have been all over the world. You know this stuff, but you're like driving along, and then there's just like a castle. Hello. You know, you don't see that in America. It's like, oh, you're driving along to Glenwood. Oh, there's a castle, you know. So that was awesome. And don't worry, we really are almost done. There's only 15 slides. This is a dog that was in Siena, and poor Jacob thought that he'd been pigeon pooped on. But he was like, he kept going like this. He goes, but I don't see anything. And then we looked up, and we realized it was dog drool, which is still a little gross, but it's not like pigeon poop. I would take dog drool over pigeon poop. I don't know about you. And this is the cathedral in Siena, almost 1,000 years old. Yeah, if I'm doing my math right, because 1,300s, 1,200. This is Spence styling on the Siena bus. We had a love-hate affair with the buses. We got lost a few times, had some really growth opportunities as a family, which I'll explain later. And then I think that's about it. So today, the talk title that came, no matter where you go, there you are. So as we go into fulfillment, that's an exciting, wonderful journey as you're fulfilling your dreams and your desires, but it has to go through you, which is exhilarating and terrifying all at the same time. We were going to Europe. I wasn't leaving Maura behind with all her idiosyncrasies, her insecurities, her strengths, her weaknesses. I wasn't leaving that behind. You can't go across the world, and some of you have experienced this probably even in more dramatic circumstances, but you can't go across the world and fulfill your dreams without doing it through you. And so today, I just want to explore that with you, just giving you some highlights and using this trip. This trip was a fulfillment of a dream for us. It was a dream that started out looking very differently. Now, first of all, the talk title, No Matter Where You Go, There You Are. Has anyone seen The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension? Anyone? Besides me and Art. Okay. Look it up on Netflix, people. This was an 80s film. Buckaroo Banzai, dig this. He is a neurosurgeon, a rock star, and a scientist. I think an astrophysicist or something. He has a band called the Hong Kong Cavaliers, and they are all scientists as well and rock stars, okay? And one of his lines in the movie, as they're going across, they've got these creatures coming in from another dimension and things are happening, is, no matter where you go, there you are. And it used to crack my sister and I up. But really in life, no matter where you go, there you are. You can't get away from you. Can't get away from you. And that's powerful and that's wonderful. All at the same time that it is, like I said, a little terrifying, especially when you get lost on the Bologna bus and you want to freak out. So that's just part of the journey. So I had an interesting experience coming up with this talk. The title downloaded, everything was feeling really great, and then I have an accounting degree in a closet somewhere. So when I come up with a talk, I like to really have my points, okay? Like point 1, point 2, point 3, and stay on point, right? And I was telling a few people this morning, the talk is coming together like a journey. It's kind of like hold on to your hat, come back around, a little stream of consciousness, touch on this, and keep going. And I wasn't real happy with that. Personally, I was like, we have to have an outline and this. And so, but then part of me said, no, we're just going to go with it. Is that cool with you? Are you guys with me? We're going to take our own little journey. We're going to get on the wrong bus and the right bus all at the same time. Spiritual improv. Woo! So when you're thinking about fulfillment, what is fulfilling to you may not be fulfilling to someone else. And for people who are very narrowly focused, that's hard to explain. I remember when we left Ohio and we wanted to move back to Colorado, and we were near beloved family, people could not understand why that would be fulfilling. Why would it be fulfilling to leave your family here and go there? Why would you want to leave this comfort zone and go back to Colorado? That was not fulfilling to them. And some of those people, if they came here, they wouldn't be fulfilled in that dream. And that's okay. We don't have to judge each other's dreams. But when you go to see what fulfills your heart, you need to get clear on what that is. And I always tell people, and some of you have heard this from me, God does not dangle carrots in front of you to rip them away and laugh. Okay? God does not plant a dream that you can feel, you can see it, you can hear it, you can taste it. Have you ever had a dream where when you think of it, you cry? You cry because your heart is singing. So God doesn't go, okay, well, we're done now. That was nice. I'm going to put the little slide in front of you and whoop, we're done. That's not the way it works. But what you need to do is get clear on what that is for you, what's unique for you. So Spencer and I, we have traveled with our boys across this country, and it's always been our dream to go abroad with them. And we got really clear, and when Spencer first presented that we were going to go on a trip, this is how he presented it to me. We were going to go on a trip for our 20th wedding anniversary, and he said, I want us to eat and drink our way through Italy. Yes. Yes. Italy, and what we meant by that was to have a vivid, living experience, okay? So then we started looking at cruises, because then we thought, okay, you can hit along the Mediterranean, you can cruise into a town, party down, woo, get back on the boat. It's really simple. But guess what? That wasn't fulfilling for us, and I'm not dogging cruises. If that has worked for you, it may work for us in the future. But what was hard about that was, that's not our nature. Our nature is if we're in a town and we get invited to hear the band in the next town over, we want to pack up our things and go and not have somebody going, well, if you don't get back on the boat, you're not on the timeline. We didn't want to be on a timeline. Those connections are important to us, so we started to realize that. So we went also within, and we also realized that as much as we were celebrating our 20th wedding anniversary, we couldn't leave these two yahoos behind. They were part of our heart and our soul to travel. They want to travel as well. And this is a celebratory trip, and so we held that focus. And so we're thinking, okay, this is going to be really neat and tidy. We're going through. And then it comes up, well, to really do what we want to do, we're going to have to drive. We're going to have to drive through Europe. And to hit the places we want to go to, we're going to have to do that. Hello, we were in 5 different countries, 5 different traffic laws, different languages. That was really scary. And so I was kind of waffling a little bit after we bought our ticket. We got a cost-effective ticket. You can fly Iceland Air to, how do you say it, people? Reykjavik. And then you can fly, they have like 20 destinations in Europe. So we were really comfortable with flying into Munich because Spencer's been stationed there. And I started school, kindergarten and first grade in Germany when my dad was there. So we're going through, but I'm feeling inside. Okay, so I'm feeling my dream is close. Our dream is close, but I'm like, oh, what are we doing here? How do you even map out? How do you find places to stay? How do we know what's safe? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? So I'm like, oh, this is overwhelming. This is overwhelming. And then in my prayers, and I put it out there on Facebook that we bought our ticket, and I had 2 friends, and many of you have given us advice as well. I had 2 friends that automatically called me and messaged me and said, hey girl, talk to me, I can help you out. And one of them was my friend Nye, who runs the Eddie Bauer store at the outlet mall. She taught me you can do it, you can pack light, and go for it. Go for it. Don't worry about trying to book every little thing. You can do this. If you have that in your heart, you can do it. And the other one was my friend Amy, who they had the dream of their heart to travel the world with their 2 daughters, and they did it for a year. They rented out their house, and they went through all these countries, and they rented apartments, and they had saved up money, and she's like, oh yes, you can. You can, and you don't have to have everything safe and comfortable. You'll be good. You'll be taken care of. You'll be provided for. So I would say, if I can make that a bullet point in this crazy talk, is look for loving counsel when you have a dream that you're trying to fulfill. Look for people that when they look at you, they already see your dream fulfilled. They don't see you as an obstacle to your dream. They see you as an integral part of it, and they love and they support you and they give you good counsel on it. You know, don't hang out, like I've always said, this is Nana all the time. The naysayers, the people that are going to tell you all the things that are going to go wrong on your trip and why you can't do this, you know, it's good to have a dose of reality, but it's also, you need to listen to the people who look at your heart and they want your dreams. They want your dreams for you as bad as you want them. Do you have people like that in your life? That when you dream, they dream with you and for you and beside you. And we were blessed to have people doing that for us and with us. So after I got out of these meetings and I'd come home really on coffee and tea, because we'd meet over coffee and tea, and I'd be like, yes, we can do this, yes. And I would get on TripAdvisor. And I would just pray, and I would go, okay, this is what we're wanting. Remember how you're anchoring in what is your vision, who you are, not anyone else, who you are in your dream. And I anchored in that, and things would come up. And I was like, okay. And we would book a little bit here and book a little bit there. Now, when you're looking at your dreams, another thing that you really need to pay attention to is this. If weird stuff keeps coming up, stuff that's not necessarily weird, but is not normal for you to have in your life, like all of a sudden if unicorns show up everywhere, okay? Pay attention to unicorns. Pay attention to that. Pay attention to what the message might be there. Guess what happened to us? We had focused on Italy. Croatia kept coming up. Croatia. Go to Croatia. Croatia. And everybody's like, Croatia? I was like, yeah, Croatia, baby. Croatia. We booked in Croatia. We spent most of our time in Croatia. And do you know what? We were amazed. We had our socks knocked off. And we had a brilliant time there. And I would go back. And I loved saying to people, Dobro dan for good day, and then at the end saying thank you, Havala. It was amazing, amazing. So pay attention to those little things that may seem out of ordinary, something that you may not do normally. But those are little nuggets, little divine nuggets that are saying to you, kind of turn your focus a little bit this way. And when we went to Croatia, we met those two sisters, and now we've been invited back. They're from Slovenia. And we learned about the people in the area. Okay? So in our original vision, that was important to us. To make connections with people, to learn about where we were going. That fulfills a dream for us. I love this saying by St. Francis of Assisi. Start by doing what's necessary, then do what's possible, and suddenly you are doing the impossible. I would never thought we could have done what we did. My husband, happy Father's Day, baby, he was a rock star driver. He said, people, driving in Italy is not for the faint-hearted at all. Especially when you get off a ferry at 7 a.m. in the morning, you almost get taken out by a bus. It's like go time. It's go time. Hold on a second. Did you drink from that? Nope. Even if you did, it's okay.
I just washed my hands.
I'll get you our So you have your individual dream. And you have people who love your dream as much as you do, and they're holding the vision with you. They can see your potential. Now, here's the deal. When you start your journey on your dream, whatever it is, be open to being vulnerable. And there's nothing more vulnerable than arriving in Munich, thinking you got it under control, baby. I won the German award in high school, for God's sake, okay? I started school over there. My husband was stationed over there. He knows how to ask for one more beer and where's the toilet. We were set. Until we get into a German restaurant, we walk through the door, and there's a few Germans here and there with their beer steins trying to have their mid-afternoon beer, because we're a little early for dinner, and they just stare at us. We walk in, and they're like, I think they're thinking to themselves, oh, crap, there's a big, loud American family in here now. Great. And this is my afternoon beer before I go home. So we walk in, and guess what happens? We freeze, and any German I ever knew left me. And we stand there, and people are coming past us and pushing, and that was one of those moments where I was like, all of Europe hates us. What are we doing here? What's going on? Okay, irrational, illogical. My husband bites the bullet, goes forward and says, hey, basically, where do we go? What do we do? We're guided to our table. People start warming up a little bit to us, you know? There's no more looks. They're not staring. And we went to that place, okay? But we could have turned around, left, and said, okay, no, we'll find a restaurant where they all speak English. It's more along our lines. And what would that have taught us? What would that have done for us? That would have done nothing. And I'll tell you this right now, our worst dining experiences was at a McDonald's in Siena. We thought it was going to be easy. We're blasting out of town. We'll just go in, get a few Egg McMuffins, some coffee, and some orange juice. We'll be on the way. It was the only restaurant in Europe where she spoke no English at all. And Jacob and I talked with our hands. We ordered $60 worth of food. She kept calling. We're sitting at the table, and we're going like this. After we got 6 bottles of orange juice, and the coffee kept coming, and they kept calling us forward, and there's more pancakes, and more sausage, and more bacon. We just ate what we could. We left the rest. We blew it out of town. We were done. We were gone. So that was the funny part to me, is the craziest experience was there. But we did learn, when you're going for that, make yourself vulnerable. I started to learn to say in Italian, because I had to go to a pharmacy. I had to get eye drops for my eyes. I was having a terrible allergic reaction to the pollen in Tuscany. And to go in and to say, okay, I may not be saying this right, parle inglese. And then she was like, of course, madam. And I'm like, oh, thank you. And we're talking. But I had to make myself vulnerable. Making yourself vulnerable. Trusting the process. You have to do that. So trusting the process and being open. And I will tell you another tip, especially if you're traveling overseas, just because you're speaking English with another accent doesn't mean they can understand you. Have you ever found yourself doing that, or am I the only person who does that like a big dork? So I'd be like in Italy, I'd be like, excuse me, do you have pizza here that is how like with the pepperonis and they'd look at you like, I speak English, okay? So make yourself vulnerable. And the last things I want to share with you is we had some moments that weren't so pretty, but obviously we made it back. The Italian bus system confounded us, confused us, and pushed us to our limits as a family. One day, this bus that was number 52 ran one route, and the next day, it ran a totally different route. Why don't you just change the bus number? I don't know. We still don't know, and that's okay. And we, in fact, got some British tourists lost because we thought we knew it. And we're like, yeah, this bus goes here. And then the bus turned around and went the opposite way, and they looked at us like, and then we said, we're sure we're going to come back around. And the British tourists looked at us, and they're like, yeah, we're going to get off here, okay? Thank you. So, you're hungry, you're tired, you're hot, and you've just lost these poor British tourists on their journey as well. You feel about this big, and that's okay. But there are going to be those moments. There are going to be those moments. It's not always going to be so smooth, but in those moments you learn what you're made out of. I learned that my husband got some more change because we had to buy another bus pass because we'd been renting it for more than an hour. Got me some Fanta sugar. I was good to go. We got on the next bus. It was awesome. Shopped for some Italian shoes. It was good to go. And the last thing I would say to you when you're going for the fulfillment of your dreams, especially your big ones, be persistent and persevere. We had so many hiccups. We thought we were going to go to Asia originally a few years back, and it was like a comedy of errors. Every time we went to get our passport, the passport office we were going to was closed. We've decided to close this branch like 2 days before. What? Or the hours had changed. One place was supposed to be open on Saturdays. They just decided that morning, no, they were no longer open on Saturdays. We couldn't get our passports, but guess what? It was because family members were coming and they needed to stay with us that year. And Jacob was supposed to go to Japan and we were going to join him, and the tsunami hit. And that was heartbreaking for the people of Japan, and we didn't end up going to Japan. But you know what? This trip came at the perfect time. We were blessed with the funds to be able to do it before we went, and we were able to enjoy that. So what I'm saying to you this morning is, in the fulfillment, you have you, and that's a good thing, because you have experience with you, and you know how you function. And you can do this because God has put dreams in your heart, and you are blessed. So dream big. Don't be afraid to dream big, and you can break it down. Like once again, start by doing what's necessary, then do what's possible, and suddenly you are doing the impossible. St. Francis de Sales says this: have patience with all things, but first of all with yourself. Be patient. So what if you freaked out and your kids thought you were going to drive off in Sienna? The next day they'll trust you again. It's okay. I didn't drive off. I didn't. I got in the car, but I didn't drive off. I just wanted the air conditioning, people. And I will leave you with this final quote as you go on. That's just kind of a random quote by Oscar Wilde. He is very clever. And it says, and think about this about yourself when you're having a bad day: some cause happiness wherever they go, others whenever they go. Did you get it? All righty. Thank you so much for being our spiritual family. It feels so good to be back here. And like I said, please, and if you have any questions about achieving your dream and you want to pray with people, talk to us practitioners, talk to Reverend Julie, talk to your spiritual family about the dreams of your heart, because we see you as a spiritual divine being that can achieve the things of your soul, and we're here for you and for one another. And so it is, right? And so it is.